2025 was a big year for Disney Lorcana. Simply put, it was the year Lorcana went global. From launching in new markets like China and Japan to players questing it out at various tournaments, everything was building to every Lorcana player's crown jewel, the inaugural Disney Lorcana World Championship. But global expansion wasn't Lorcana's only 2025 accomplishment. The competitive scene saw major shifts, with the game experiencing plenty of firsts in its competitive scene and player mechanics. 4 new sets dropped in 2025, which ushered in many firsts for Lorcana. Alongside these mechanical changes, the newly announced CCQs brought fresh ways to compete beyond the main DLC circuit, and with more ways than ever to play Disney Lorcana on the big stage, new star players were introduced through official DLCs and third-party events alike. But it didn't stop there. We also saw amazing pushes and community-led content, from charity tournaments and Worlds watch parties to unforgettable rivalries, memes, feel-good moments, enchanting card pulls, and much, much more. I can't wait to relive some of these amazing moments with you in this video, but before I do, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and drop this video a like if you're just as excited about the future of Lorcana as I am. Finally, I want to share that none of this video would be possible without the incredible work and assistance of Stephen Gettle, who owns the Lorcana History channel on Twitter. Check him out, and thank you again, Stephen, for keeping the Lorcana timeline and making this video possible. Now, for a quick history lesson. In August of 2023, RAVENSBURGER released Lorcana to the United States and European markets. It wasn't until January 1st of 2025 that the game started off the new year big by branching into Chinese markets. Weeks later, Japan followed suit, cementing RAVENSBURGER's commitment to making Lorcana into a global phenomenon. Japan alone delivered some incredible milestones: 3 Grand Prix events with over 3,800 players combined, a Kyoto tournament boasting 1,800 competitors, Japan having its first set championship, and even a new card layout standard that influenced deck layouts around the world. We also saw a DLC in Beijing, another in Singapore, a Q1 roadmap for Japan's 2026 season, and RAVENSBURGER even held a Lorcana event in Ravensburg, Germany. How cool is that? But they didn't stop there. Australia hosted its first ever DLC, a particularly noteworthy event that would go on to spark plenty of buzz in the community.
Yep. The broom away. Banish the broom. Oh.
And if that wasn't enough, Lorcana didn't just dominate on land, it hit the 7 seas. Disney Cruise Line introduced Lorcana Trading Quests, which featured exclusive Lorcana x Disney Cruise Line promos, solidifying the game as a true global experience. Looking at all of this, it's clear RAVENSBURGER was headstrong in its mission to make Lorcana a worldwide phenomenon. But international markets weren't the only ones having fun. While China and Japan were experiencing the first chapter and Rise of the Floodborn for the first time, players in the US and the UK were diving into 4 brand new sets. Sets that would change the way Lorcana is played forever. 4 new Lorcana sets joined the game this year. Each of these sets had its own unique aspects, bringing something new, innovative, and special to the world of Lorcana. Starting with Arcasia's Island, which finally introduced the highly anticipated dual ink cards into the game. Next came Reign of Jafar, which brought new keywords and character classifications in Vanish and Illusion characters. Then came Fabled, which was possibly Lorcana's most impactful set of all time due to the introduction of set rotation. And finally, Whispers in the Well, which had major shifts in the way cards were designed overall in their stat lines. With each of these 4 sets introducing new mechanics into the game, it pushed players to level up their play by finding new ways to build decks, exploit combos, and reshape the meta with every competitive tournament that passed. This year, competitive play started with a bang when Edmund Chu became the first ever NA Continental Champion, a fan favorite after his win in DLC Fort Worth. NA and EU Continentals finalized the world's roster, as the top 8 players from each of these tournaments would be the last people invited to compete in the World Championship. By this point, we had the list of competitors, the venue, and a community full of people eager to book their flights to watch the magic unfold. But the one thing we didn't have, perhaps the most important thing of all, was an official timeline for when the Lorcana World Championship would occur. And it stayed that way. Players and fans were left in the dark until 1 month before the set date of the event. Besides Melbourne, which was not technically part of the initial DLC season, there had been over 6 months since a DLC without any mention of when the World Championship would happen. Understandably, the community was disappointed. From there, questions grew. When will Worlds actually happen? What's next for Lorcana? To which Ravensburger responded with the Next Chapter livestream. This changed Lorcana in its current form, starting with the introduction of Set Rotation. The announcement and Set Rotation took the Disney Lorcana community by storm, with nearly every player having something to say about it. For those not in the know, Set Rotation is when cards from older sets are no longer allowed to be used in core constructed play. Some players loved the idea, while others thought it came way too early in the game's lifespan. Many players who were new to TCGs felt upset that so many of their cards in their beloved collections were no longer going to be worth anything. The overall consensus among more experienced TCG players was that it was a good way to breathe life into a repetitive meta and open the door for a growing competitive scene. Ravensburger did their best to ease these varying concerns by announcing a brand new format called Infinity, in which every card printed in Lorcana's history would be legal. This format would go on to have an Infinity Weekend, which would offer promos to any players playing in Infinity events at their local game stores, and would even be supported with its very own DLC coming in the summer of 2026. These promises are Ravensburger's attempt to show their player base that cards from rotated out sets have not lost their value, and they would do their best to integrate Infinity into a fully supported format. Not all players are convinced of the purpose, incentives, and even fun of playing Infinity yet, but I personally think seeing Ravensburger trying hard to make something work is a promising sign for the format's future. Regardless of where you fall on this spectrum, I think we can all agree that Set Rotation certainly changed Lorcana forever and offered its players a brand new experience and a much more dynamic meta to look forward to in the future. Alongside the announcement of Set Rotation, Ravensburger finally confirmed the dates for the World Championship, coming to Walt Disney World in Kissimmee, Florida. Along with the dates of Worlds, they also shared that Worlds would not be open to the public player base of Lorcana and would instead be restricted to only the players and select family and friends that they may choose to join them. This, of course, was a huge disappointment for Lorcana's fan base as a whole. Many community members were looking forward to Worlds being a celebration of everything that the game and the community had built and shared in Lorcana's inaugural first season. Not being able to be there, celebrating and cheering on the players in person left a lot of fans disheartened by the decision that had been made. But they found their own ways to bring the community together to celebrate this momentous occasion in Lorcana's history by hosting watch parties locally or at home. And in the end, 2025 Worlds was a huge success, with Europe's Din Kang fam being crowned Disney Lorcana's first ever world champion by beating NA's continental champion Edmund Chu in the finals. Through all the highs and lows, there was a giant dedicated community showing up and showing out every step of the way. 2025 proved that the backbone of Lorcana was not the novelty of its gameplay, but the passion of its community. So Lorcana grew a lot in this past year, but you can't have growth without growing pains. In addition to the criticism the delayed Worlds information faced, Ravensburger was also receiving a lot of complaints that Lorcana's next competitive season had not yet been announced. Players had no future official Lorcana events to look forward to, and the last one they had access to had been nearly over a year ago. And it didn't help that just a few months prior, there had been a huge cheating scandal when one of the finalists at DLC Melbourne was caught attempting to gain an unfair advantage by incorrectly exploiting a rule about sequencing in the game. Unfortunately, this exploit was not caught by a judge at the time, which led to the player moving on to the finals, which earned him a golden Mickey. The need for Lorcana to have an official judge program quickly became a hot topic, which led to the head judge from Lorcana's first DLC season in NA, Snobby, to propose a judge program within the official community feedback section of Ravensburger's Discord. With players frustrated that something like this hadn't existed in the game up until this point already, his proposal gained a lot of momentum and support from the community. Additionally, Lorcana experienced its first ever bans this year, after weeks of the community complaining about the power level in Sapphire Steel during Arcasia's Island's metagame. This sparked its own set of issues for players who believed the developers had chosen the wrong cards to ban, and that the issue would not be resolved, but rather shift over to a new deck, with Ruby Sapphire being the next metagame titan to watch out for. With all of these varying degrees of controversy, it was clear to see that for as much expansion and growth that Lorcana was up to, that growth was not without its own set of problems, at least from the community's perspective. But Ravensburger rolled with the punches gracefully and offered a ton of official support for Lorcana in 2025. While it can be said that there were a lot of things to critique Ravensburger for this past year, there is plenty to praise them for as well. Regarding the initial Worlds disappointment, along with the lack of DLC dates, Ravensburger brought a full roadmap for the 2025-2026 competitive season. Although many players weren't satisfied with the number of official events, it was a step in the right direction. The Ravensburger team even acknowledged that they had not done a great job communicating with their player base up until this point, and one of the ways that they committed themselves to doing better was by hiring a lot of new staff to the Ravensburger team. Among these was their director of communications, Greg Tito, who would go on to create and host an official lorecast that would air every Thursday. This was a huge win for the Lorcana community. The Lorecast would serve as a way to provide constant updates to the community and save us from further multiple month-long stretches of lack of info from happening ever again. And so far, the Lorecast has been exactly that. Ravensburger further proved its interest in community feedback through set reflection surveys, as well as when it hired two of the community's biggest players, Brennan DeCandio and Moyen, to join the game developer team. They will be missed as players and creators in the community, but it's great to know that they are now part of the minds bringing us improvements to the game. Furthermore, in response to overarching concerns of a lack of judge program, Ravensburger revealed its plans to have official lore guide support, which is essentially a judge program in action, ensuring that all levels of play are supported and treated with the same fair enforcement of the rules across the board. This is a huge win for the Lorcana community and proves that Ravensburger isn't just hearing us, but is listening as well. Ravensburger also heard community concerns for the lack of DLCs and responded in a big way by officially announcing support for third-party events in the form of CCQs, which are Continental Championship qualifiers. Winners of these events get invitations to their region's Continental Championship, where they can quest it out for a chance to have a spot at the World Championship. These CCQs are also, in some cases, the only other ways to earn Disney Lorcana Challenge promos outside of the DLC setting, with Ravensburger providing promos to these events to distribute to top performing players. There were 16 CCQs across the US and EU this year alone. If that's not Ravensburger hearing we want more chances to play Disney Lorcana for official prizes, I don't know what is. So yes, Lorcana had some lows this year, but I think we owe it to Ravensburger to acknowledge all of the highs they helped Lorcana achieve this year as well. But it isn't Ravensburger alone that makes this game so great, and if there's anyone besides the dev team that deserves praise for Lorcana continuing to shine bright, it's certainly the Lorcana community as a whole. The Lorcana community is a deeply passionate group of players who are incredibly invested and dedicated to the growth and success of Disney Lorcana. If 2025 proved anything, it's that this game isn't just about cards. It's about people, creativity, and moments that made us laugh, cheer, and sometimes cry. Some of my favorite moments of creativity from this year were getting to see all of the amazing cosplays from people all over the globe, and the creativity didn't stop there. Altered card art was all the rage this year, and some absolutely beautiful artwork came out of it. There was also creativity in deck building this year, with new deck archetypes popping up all year long, from the infamous Kiwi Bird Sapphire Steel deck being created, to Ruby Amethyst seeing a new evasive variant, to even infinite combos being competitive enough to win a major tournament. Bridging the gap between creativity and comedy, we shared a lot of laughs as a community through some amazing comedic skits that came out this year. From people like Lorcana Villain and Mr. Burns, JDZ, the Illumateers, Ridros, Ink Casters, and honestly too many more to mention. Hilarity didn't just come from sketches though. There were plenty of hilarious memes to come out of this year, including this infamous gif of Zan Syed at Worlds. There were a lot of moments worth cheering for this year on smaller scales, like JDZ finally finishing a Lorcana puzzle after 24 hours straight, and Darkwing Duck joining the cast of Lorcana Glimmers. The 1-of-1 world champion Golden Mickey came back a pristine 10. Uncut sheets joined the prize pool at events, and some fan favorite cards saw reprints. Oh, and iconic card pulls happened left and right.
Oh my god. This is an iconic card. This is worth over $1,000 right now.
Some bigger moments deserving of celebration included all of the incredible work done by tournament organizers, judges, and passionate community members alike in bringing us some of the most amazing events, meetups, and tournaments all year long. Things like Rebecca Quest's huge Quest in the Park meetup, the UK and Ireland Girlies Discord being launched, Lorcana Fanatics hosting an incredible Worlds watch party, the ICL launching its second season, the LCCC kicking off again, and featuring its first female player, Angelina. We also quested for incredible causes this year, raising thousands of dollars for various charities and Illumineers in need. It's worth noting that so many of our favorite events and more would not be possible without all of the incredible judges, tournament organizers, event staff, and more. Thank you for everything you do for this community. You truly are the backbone of Disney Lorcana. In addition to all of the people who create and host amazing events, there are also so many wonderful content creators to shout out and thank for all of the ways they keep this community engaged, entertained, and informed. First, I want to issue a heartfelt thank you and farewell to two podcasts that left the Lorcana space this year, Citizens of Lorcana and Podcana, which will both be missed, and we're lucky to have had them to listen to for all this time. JDZ is one of my favorite creators in the space who joined the Lorecast for the first time this year and has since become a frequent visitor. Shout out to creators like Katie, Kim, Jen, Zebex, Brent, and more who joined the list of official DLC commentators this year. Congratulations. I had the honor of a lifetime when I had the opportunity to cast PPG Orlando this past December, and it allowed me to appreciate all of the ways Lorcana casters truly help make the experience so much more magical for us watching at home. I also want to take a moment to highlight some incredible women in this otherwise male-dominated TCG scene. Thank you to creators and community members alike, like Ali Sweetie, Rebecca Quests, Enchanted Kim, and honestly, all of the people who curate, host, and advocate for a more inclusive Lorcana space for women and really all people. Some competitive wins for women in the space included the UK and US, both having their first Women Plus only events hosted by Card Heroine Events in the UK and Charlie's Collectible Show here in the US respectively. Angelina winning the 219 player Disney Lorcana Open #2, a player count higher than some CCQs. TFM Melissa for having an absolute all-star year. Monica of Lorcana Duo finishing 9th place at DLC Milwaukee. Jenna, who qualified for the NA Continentals through the last chance qualifier while pregnant, and Kim for entering her competitive era and showing us all that girly pops can play socially or competitively should they choose. And honestly, that sentiment extends to every part of this Lorcana community as a whole, no matter how you choose to engage with this game. From the people who make content, cast games, or organize big events, to the people who prefer to watch the tournament broadcasts, engage with the content being created, and attend events being put on by community members. Competitive players helping shape the meta at every tournament, or local heroes who hold it down at their local game stores each week, or even at home playing fun decks with friends. You, yes you, are what makes Disney Lorcana so great and worth playing. You are the heartbeat of Disney Lorcana. So this brings us to the end of our Disney Lorcana recap for 2025. Obviously, it is impossible to include every single player, moment, and more that made this year so special. So please forgive me if I missed anything. If you have a favorite Disney Lorcana moment that you want to share from this past year, leave it in the comments below. Let's keep the good memories flowing. And please let me know what I missed. Feel free to shout out all of the wonderful people and parts of the community that made your Disney Lorcana year so special. And before I go, I have a couple of shout outs of my own to share. First, I want to again thank Steven of Lorcana History for keeping a database of all things Lorcana. This helps cut my research time down significantly, and I can't thank him enough for sharing it with me. I also want to shout out all of the people who helped me with the research for this video by providing me with some amazing memories to include. They know who they are, and I am endlessly grateful to them. And overall, I just want to issue a huge thank you to you, the viewer, for watching this video. Lore Chronicles has grown exponentially in this past year, and it has been so much fun making content on this game, which I love, and sharing amazing discussions with you all. So shout out to the Watch to the End crew. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe and leave a like. It truly helps the channel more than you know. This has been Willoughby's, and I will see you in the new year.